Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
And welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on WKYC. We're here for 30 minutes. Among the topics we're going to discuss, the Cleveland Guardians have released their schedule and they've made a trade. We'll go through all of it later in the show. G. Bush.
The Cleveland Browns maybe start a new relationship with a quarterback. And like dating, I'm going to tell you the non-negotiable traits that I'm looking for. Dustin?
Everyone's talking about the Browns quarterbacks right now and who they're going to draft. Everyone talks about Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. Well, I'm going to tell you about a name no one's talking about.
Mikey.
I'm Mikey McNuggets, and Brian Windhorst says players are now circling the Cavs as a destination location, which we're going to talk about whether or not that's just lip service or reality, and particularly with a trade rumor that came out this morning regarding those Cleveland Cavaliers. But, Jay, let's start with the Browns and some of these mid-round quarterbacks.
Yeah, Cam Shedeur is obviously, I don't know that it's 1 and 2. I think it's collectively Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are the two. They're the guys. Are they going to go 1 and 2? Maybe they will. Will there be a trade? Who knows? Let's just say, for the sake of this conversation, the Browns look at both and decide after kicking the tires on Cam and Shedeur, neither is the guy for their future. Which of the other quarterbacks, and I think we all know who those names are, which of the other quarterbacks do you guys think the Browns should take?
Well, in the first round, I don't really feel like there's anybody else that is going to slide into that first round unless a guy who played for Alabama gets some interest drumming up here as we approach the NFL draft. That's Jalen Milroe, who I mentioned there in our little tease. I think that Milroe is a guy that, if you watched Alabama football the last couple of years, I mean, they were winning games because of him. Now, he didn't have the best end of his career. Obviously they lose to Michigan in the final game, but if you watch that game, like he made some plays. Dude's a baller. He's one of those guys that when he's on the field, he's the fastest guy at all times. Very similar to the way Lamar Jackson is with the Baltimore Ravens. And I do think the game is changing. It's evolving. You're seeing the great quarterbacks that are putting teams in position, i.e. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. Right now, I think the Super Bowl is being played Sunday night in Buffalo.
I agree with that.
And both those quarterbacks are going to have a huge impact on that. I do think having a mobile quarterback is vital.
Man, that was, listen, you did your thing on that one. I sound like Randy Jackson. You did your thing right there, Dustin, man.
He gets a ticket to Hollywood.
Man, that was very convincing. Jalen Milroe, to me, I think he's a product of a coaching regime change. You had Nick Saban. He retires. You get a new regime, new offense, new different things like that, new voice. And I do think that he's going to benefit from one thing. Lamar Jackson's will ball out this postseason. And when you watch Lamar Jackson and what he's become as almost a guy that can probably win 3 MVPs, you're going to look and say, the Cleveland Browns had an opportunity to take him, and they passed on him. I'd be willing to wager if Jalen Milroe is a guy that they look at as somebody who is in that mold that can be taught. I mean, I think he already has his master's degree or something like that.
Yep.
He's very smart, very intelligent, good family. And like Dustin said, he's the fastest guy on the field. But I wouldn't be mad if they took him. But my guy, Ole Miss, Jaxson.
Yeah, there you go.
He got personality, he got some flair, he has some running ability. He got a big arm. He's a big kid. Played in the SEC. You see his numbers. Now look, my thing is, I thought that we were going to start off at him going in the 3rd round, maybe the 4th round. But you know how it is, Jay. This is talk-up season. You can go from the 3rd round to the 2nd round just like that. Pro Days coming up, Senior Bowl stuff coming up. And if they get him, he's one of the guys that when you see him throw this football, they're going to say, the ball just jumps off his arm.
So their bowl game was a game that was, I forget exactly what the name of it was, but they played Duke. Okay, and Duke is a team that has Manny Diaz as their coach. They've got a very good defense. And I watched that game, and I thought that they'd have trouble scoring. They didn't. He went up and down the field. Like, go watch that game. Watch some of the big games this year. I would say try to avoid some games in November because he had an ankle injury that really limited him in his performance. But early in the season, I think watch how he finishes the season. Like, that guy's going to be a good player if he gets into the right system. I don't think he's a guy that's going to be Peyton Manning up there, like checking things, doing like because the offense he ran was pretty basic. But he's got the arm talent and he's got ability. So that's what you need at the quarterback position. I don't think the quarterback position in the NFL anymore is as nuanced as it used to be.
He had a nice some tape at USC. I went back to look at his USC tape
because
of the different offenses. I said, "Oh,
doing a deep dive."
Yeah, you got to. It's silly season now, Dustin. We got to get out here. Browns got a top 2 pick.
Well, who I hope is doing the homework are the Cleveland Browns. They've got to get this right. They can't miss. That's why this is, we always say this. It's the biggest pick they've ever made. This time it might be true. This might be the most important draft in Cleveland Browns history because of where they are. And I love your comments about Milroe. I think what's going to happen there is Tommy Rees coached him. I think Tommy Rees is going to be heavily involved in this decision because, like we've said for the last couple of days, we think that he's kind of been tabbed as the guy who, okay, you're going to help us grow the next quarterback. And he knows what the seed looks like. And he knows what the early fruit looks like. So if he says, I think I can turn this guy into a good NFL quarterback, I think there's a higher likelihood that they end up taking a shot at Milroe. I was really disappointed in his senior season. I think you were being kind.
Yeah.
I think he had a bad senior season.
Well, they lost 3 games.
They lost 3 games, but
games.
Personally, he threw too many interceptions for me. Because in college it's so much easier to complete passes.
Yeah, he hit the point though that the coaching change is big. And,
it's huge.
And you go from, and by the way, it's not just any coaching change.
I know.
It's you're going from Bill Belichick to Gerard Mayo.
I completely agree, and I get that. I just saw more regression than I had hoped I would see. I always look in college at the touchdown to interception ratio. It needs to be what? 35 touchdowns to 3 picks. It needs to be what Lamar Jackson's doing this year. And it's for him, I think it's 15 or 16 touchdowns to 11 picks. That's not good. That's too many. Now I know he's playing in the toughest conference, but now you look at Jaxson Dart's numbers. Let's call him up again. He has the touchdown to interception ratio that I am looking for. About 6 to 1 touchdowns to picks. That's where you need to be if you're going to be to be an elite college quarterback. I think
Josh Allen only threw 16 touchdowns his last year.
I know he did. I get it. Here's one thing that I'm really concerned about with him. I can't wait to see at Pro Day what he measures, what he's laser heighted at. I think they list him at 6'2". I'm not sure he's 6'2".
I'm not sure I think he's more of like a 6'1" guy.
To me, he feels 6'1".
A barely 6'1" guy.
My fear is he could be like 6 feet and a half. If he is, I'm not taking him.
Jaxson Dart?
Jaxson Dart.
Oh, listen, we'll talk about the non-negotiable traits here in a second, but I need at least 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah, I can't have him under 6'1" for sure. I just can't.
I can't do that.
And to that point, we are going to talk about the non-negotiables. So if you're going into a lab, and by the way, officially, I will say that the guy that I would want to see is Dart. If it's not going to be one of the other two.
I ain't mad at Milroe, though. I'm mad if they come up to the podium in this second round.
I'm disappointed.
Third round, I wouldn't be. I would not be disappointed.
I would not be disappointed only because it wouldn't be the top pick.
And if they have a bridge quarterback that they don't have to start him immediately, and he sits.
Yeah,
I'm just getting on board today because I kind of been like living under a rock with the idea that Geno Smith could be available.
Right. I like that too.
If there's anybody out there that likes Geno Smith or has listened to me for the last decade plus, they know how much I love Geno.
You love him,
and it was the all-time like die on the hill take.
Yeah, it was.
That panned out for me, so I'm really proud. Really proud of it.
You got it right.
Thanks, guys.
You got it right.
Thanks,
I will say this: the guessing game here is going to be where is Dart going to go. You just don't know because it only takes one team that looks at him and says, "Oh, he's our guy." We don't even need a quarterback yet. Nope. We still have 2 or 3 years out of so-and-so, but he's our guy. And that he could be off the board before the Browns anticipate. And if there's waiting to get him in the second or third, he might not be there. So you just don't know. Now, you're going into a lab, and you're going to build the quarterback of your future. And you're prioritizing skill sets, height, arm strength, ability to read defenses, everything. What is the non-negotiable? as G. Bush said, when it comes to dating. I can't date someone that blank. You can't have a quarterback unless they have what skill set?
Mobility.
Ooh.
This is Family Feud. Good answer. Good answer.
Yeah, it is a good answer.
Number one answer.
Number one answer on the board.
I don't know.
Number one
I
answer.
I think it was number 2. I think processor.
That was mine.
It is. Hey, listen. Hey, Steve, did we get it right? Processing is the number
Name
one.
something Deshaun Watson can't do.
Processing for $200, Alex.
That's why it's so important to all of us now.
That is. Oh, we know it. And even with Jameis Winston is smart, knows how to throw the football everywhere. What I mean by processing is diagnosing within 2 seconds what somebody's trying to do.
Seeing things that aren't there right now, but will be in a second.
That is the anticipation, the presence, processing where the blitz is coming, understanding the timing in the pocket. That's all under processing. It's all under, and trust me, if you want to do, anybody knows, it's all about your memory. It's all about the processor when it comes to computers. You want a great computer, you want a streamline.
How fast is your processor?
How fast is your processor? And if you can get a kid that can throw the football, he has an above average arm or good arm, he makes good decisions, he's good character. If you can get him with a processor, it's exponential.
I'm going to try to bring Dustin into our camp, okay?
Okay.
When Lamar Jackson came into the NFL, he had the arm strength, he had the speed. What he lacked and what he's really added to his game, which is why he's going to be a 3-time MVP, what he added to his game was the ability to see things, dissect them in real time as they're happening, sometimes anticipate things and see things that aren't yet there but are going to be. So for me, what's taken Lamar Jackson from a really good talent, a guy that won a Heisman, a Johnny Manziel type. Johnny obviously had a lot of flaws, but the one thing that Lamar has added to his game is the think part, the processing part. He runs the read option as well as anybody I've ever
unstoppable.
seen. It's a cheat code. He almost makes the right read every time. Last week in their playoff win, he ran it so effectively that I think the fake was to Henry. Henry got blasted the hell up. And I thought Henry had the ball, and the cameraman thought Henry had the ball, and the defense thought Henry had the ball. Yeah. And what did Lamar do? Pull it and take it for 15.
I've been that decoy before. I hate
you can't stop it.
Kurt Lucan's tackled me every play. Every play.
And I'm going to tell you this. You got to get Dustin because you got to talk about the Bills. I would say Josh Allen. Yeah. Huge arm.
Yeah.
Mobility.
But his processor has improved.
But his processor, nowadays, it looked like Josh Allen, one of them quarterbacks that don't even need a coordinator.
Not throwing picks.
He don't even need a coordinator. He's just like, I'll pick this stuff out.
His best plays are street balling. Improvisation.
So did we bring you over to the processor is one, and because I'm with you, I love the mobility for me. It's a strong 1A for me. I almost made ability.
I'll give you guys processing is 3.
Wow.
Number 2, size.
Yes, okay. Size matters. It does. It does.
Hey, ask anybody.
Yeah, but you know what? I've seen guys with size that can't process that can't play in the league. I've seen guys without size, Doug Flutie, that could process. Warren Moon, Russell Wilson, guys that can process that don't have speed or size, but they can exist.
But do we agree that there was a cutoff on size? Like, I got to at least have 6'1". Like, I would have nightmares about 6'1" because I have nightmares about Manziel, Colt McCoy. Even Baker was on a little bit of the shorter stature. For me, I need somebody that is able, and that actually scares me about Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward because I don't know what they're going to look like.
Now, to Dustin's point, name the top 5 quarterbacks in the league right now. Who are they?
Burrow, Allen, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert is probably in that mix.
Wow, we're leaving Mahomes off.
And Mahomes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's 5.
To me, Burrow not so much, but all the other guys all have the ability to run and after the play breaks down. So, you know what? You're probably splitting hairs here. This is what I know. If you get a quarterback that is mobile, and I mean on the upper end of mobile, that has a processor and brings size to the table, I know we just kind of mentioned Josh Allen.
Number 1 pick.
That's the number 1 pick.
He's the number 1 pick. That guy's not in this draft.
He's not.
He's not here. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, wow, the Cavs last night got blown right off the floor in Oklahoma City. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to ask, is Cleveland actually a destination now for players and free agents in the NBA? Brian Windhorst says yes. What do we say next? Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Man, the scoreboard at the end said 20 points, but our eyes told us it was an absolute embarrassment. More like, it felt like a game that they should have lost by 40. At one point, they were down 40. Cavs lose to Oklahoma City last night in a little bit of a revenge game for the Thunder, who now are tied with the Cavs for the best record in the NBA. If you're looking for in-depth analysis on what went wrong, we talked about it on the YouTube show. There were a lot of things. We brought up Donovan Mitchell.
Yep.
Maybe might be hurt, lacking some explosiveness, not
Just doesn't
finishing
look
at the
the
rim.
same right now.
Didn't look the same. Hasn't really for the last week or so. The other thing that we should talk about is Cam Johnson. We've been asking, do they need to add a piece to make a serious, deep playoff run? Cam Johnson, it's been reported that the Cavs are interested in trying to work a deal with the Nets to bring him over. I think our takeaway in the first show today was, how do you get him here?
And that's the question that we need, like, Brian Windhorst for, and these guys who know every single detail of the cap and how these deals can get made. If they can, yes, I'm all for it. And like earlier on in the season, I was like, I don't know if we need to make changes because the team's got good chemistry. I agree with one of the super chatters earlier that I don't care about that. This team can use all the reinforcements they need, or they can get, I should say, because at some point, someone's going to get hurt.
Sure.
Not everyone's going to be healthy. It's a long season. They're going to play 82 games when this thing's all said and done, and we're not even. Are we halfway through? Right about.
Just
halfway?
about.
The 40 game
so
mark.
right-
But in relation to that, Dustin, Brian Windhorst, who you mentioned a second ago, did go on ESPN Radio earlier this week and said he's had multiple agents tell me that their players want to play in Cleveland. That could mean Cam Johnson, could mean someone else. But when you hear a rumor like that, guys, Cleveland obviously not a historical free agent destination in any sport. Is that just lip service, or do you think that may actually be the changing of the tide and Cleveland could be a more attractive destination for guys on the trade block, buyout candidates, etc.?
Sure.
Well, listen, dude.
Cleveland is cool again, man.
Cleveland's, hey, when you are on the buyout market, you're a veteran. Chances are, if you asking for a trade, or like Cam Johnson is, or they're making a rebuild, you're in a rebuild. You're playing on a bad team, and at this point in your career, you done already made money. So now what's the next thing on the chopping block is to play for a team, and the Cavs play the way that other people want to play. You look at a lot of veterans and they say, why do they choose to play overseas rather than playing over here if they got equal offers? And they say, I like playing overseas because they play the game the right way. We move the ball. It's a lot of man movement, ball movement, cutting, screening, doing different things like that. Teams in the NBA, first of all, have hierarchies in politics. So I'm paying this guy a bunch of money, he's getting all the shots. I'm paying this guy, guess what? He's going to get minutes over you. So guys want to come here because they play the right way. They got a great team. They got a great coach. They got great chemistry. And they've been getting the brakes beat off them by the Cavs. And when you watch another team blow people's doors off, they're like, oh, I would love to be over there with those guys. So I do think there's something to be said for that, Jay.
Well, they got a chance to win a title.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys late in their career that have made their money, made all-star teams and whatnot, they're looking, okay, what's missing from my resume? What do I need? And guys want rings.
Well, and the other thing too, Jay, is that the league doesn't have a cheat code right now. Like, you can't just go play with LeBron and guarantee yourself a title.
Right.
We've seen guys try to do that in the past, and some guys it worked out for. Now there's no hey, that guy can win no matter what.
Right.
As long as he's at the top of his game. There's no player like that in the league right now. So the Cavs are a team that I think people will start to talk about as hey, they can win a title. They legitimately can be a championship caliber team because there's really no favorite.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I do think. Now, your initial question, Mike, is it just lip service or is it a real thing? Right now, it's just lip service.
Yeah.
Guys can tell their agents, hey, you know what? If something comes up with Cleveland, I'd put Cleveland on my list. Now, there's levels to this. Are guys actually going to their agent saying, I don't care what you have to do, get a deal done to get me to Cleveland? No. So far, it hasn't. This discussion hasn't. It hasn't bore any fruit we don't know of anybody that is here because they've specifically told their agent that's where I want to go. Right. So if here at the deadline or maybe next season before the start of the season, we hear that there's a guy or two that says, get me to Cleveland, and he ends up here, then it means something. Right now, it's just conversation, and it's interesting because Cleveland once upon a time was a destination with Kevin Love, and after LeBron came back the second time. You had guys, a lot of guys later in their career that said, I'll do that. I'll go there.
J.R. Smith, Mon Shumpert was part of that deal. I think also they got to win a championship or get to the finals. If they do that, that raises the likelihood somebody will say, get me to Cleveland.
Yeah, all right. I think we're all in agreement that we're not pushing any panic buttons over last night, but it is part of a little bit of a trend here. It's 2 losses in 3 games. That's a little disturbing. It's to 2 different teams that are kind of built the same way. And we talked on the YouTube show, and if you want to check this out, go back and watch. Mike pointed out what could be the blueprint to beat this Cavs team, at least what they've used so far in their losses this season. We're taking a break. When we come back, the Guardians make a trade and release their schedule. Both are on the discussion plate. The Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, WKYC style, comes right back. Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. The Guardians make a trade. It's really more, I think, for the team that made the move. They send Miles Straw to the Toronto Blue Jays. It gets kind of complicated, but there's no player yet named in the trade. It's most likely going to be cash because we know that's what the Guardians most covet. And this kind of is a move that helps the Blue Jays in their quest to make a move for a big international player, which they're trying to do right now. They're trying to get the most money.
Wasn't David Fry a player to be named? Just sorry to cut you off, but
yes, but I think in this situation, because he wasn't even a major leaguer, Miles Straw isn't even a major leaguer, I'm going to be stunned if they get anything of value player-wise. I think there was international money involved that went to Toronto because they're trying to add international money to their pool. So they already have the most available. They want to win a battle with the Dodgers right now for that very coveted.
That left-handed or the pitcher that we talked about from Japan?
Yes.
Okay. Bull was talking about that. If you haven't watched, you can go check it out on YouTube. Bull talked about the pool of money available to go get international players. Yes. And now it seems like Toronto is a big player in that.
They are. Right now, it's them and the Dodgers that are in that hunt for Sasaki. It's a big battle right now. They're doing everything they can, and they're fighting with the Dodgers, which always seem to have an inherent advantage, even if money isn't involved. Because let's face it, who named Sasaki wouldn't want to go play with the greatest player in the world, who, by the way, happens to be a fellow countryman.
Yeah,
and Yamamoto.
Yeah, that's got
that's crazy.
That's got a big pull too. Okay, the other thing is the Guardians' schedule was released. I made a lot of notes on this. There were a lot of things that jumped out to me as notable or games that I would really like to attend. I know you did too, Mike. I think we'll probably have a lot of cross-reference. The season starts at the end of March, so it's earlier than normal in Kansas City.
Why can't we start on the West Coast?
I know. Well, we go to the West Coast after that, but with the exception of the games in L.A. and San Diego, which are our second road trips, our entire month of April, with the exception of those 2 series, are in cities that very well could get snow in April.
Right, yeah. Dude,
so it's not like we're going to Tampa and Texas. I don't get it.
327 at Kansas City. I get cold just looking at that.
Oh, my God.
That's winter.
It is winter. It is very much winter, and it could be a foot of snow on the ground in Kansas City. So that was interesting to me. The other things that I noted, there's not a series with the Tigers until May 22nd. The Tigers are the team that has emerged as our kind of natural rival within our division that's at an equal positioning as we are. I mean, we remember their DS series last year. It was terrific. It went all 5 games. I feel like we now have that rivalry is back. We don't play them until May 22nd. The Dodgers are here May 26th to 28th. I've got that circled. That's always fun to watch the world champs come to town. Tito comes back to Cleveland June 9th, 10th, and 11th. And that's going to be interesting to see how we receive him now that he's in the other Ohio team's dugout.
Do you think they retire his jersey? Is he in the Hall of Fame? Or
I think eventually, yes. I'm not sure that happens now. Also, we play at the Sacramento A's in June. We're at Wrigley Field July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And we go to Tampa to play the Yankees at Steinbrenner Field late in the season in September. We're out of time. We'll see you Monday. Go Bucks.
OH!
Hi-yo!